AITA for telling my sister nobody was surprised when her kid said he did not care she was alive or not. I come from a big family. We are 5 siblings, 2 sets of twins, 50F, my sister, her twin died in utero, 47M, me and my brother, 42F, my other 2 sisters. We are taking about our biggest one. My parents were really careful to not parentify him because they both had the same fate in their family. They took good care of us, all of us have fruitful and satisfying careers. The problem is, at least for my sister, they didn't push us there. They encouraged but they never had the expectation. This was a problem for my biggest sister. She always found them lazy and unmotivated, and she limited contact with us after she graduated law school. She has become a really successful lawyer, married to a renowned surgeon, who is my friend from medical school, a really ambitious guy who is also a real OCD, and had his son at age 32 via IVF. It was all planned. After she had her son, aka my nephew, she started to push him really hard. She was trying to make him read at age 2, she sent him to piano lessons from age 4 and had one-to-one tutors since he was first grade. He was never allowed to have free time and every moment of his life was curated. The only time slot he had was Saturday afternoon and where he would visit my parents, and we always planned events and free time for him. His teenage years was absolute hell. He was forced beyond his capacities by my sister and BIL, and when he was 16, he tried to commit suicide at the hospital BIL works at by stealing benzo from the nurse counter. After that, he had a good time in the inpatient ward, 5 months in ward, 3 months in a group home, and after that, he wanted to stay with me. I am the only one from my siblings who does not have a kid and I live with my husband in a 3-store villa so he can have the roof to himself. BIL had an awakening and he divorced my sister after this. Him and nephew had a year of family therapy and last summer he moved in back with BIL and he also decided to pursue medicine. I don't live in US, medical school starts directly after high school and it is 6 years. During that time, my sister really dug into her heels. She blamed us and my BIL for letting him to be weak. She said he was alive and he had to endure this so he could become resilient and untouchable. She said in the court, I don't care, he feels bad, this is life, you either climb the ladder or you fall down. If he fell down there is nothing we can do, life goes on. I never saw someone to look with pure anger like the head judge, and he said, you are a really successful lawyer, I should give you that, but you are really a terrible person and a being that can't be called a parent, and turned to my BIL and said, you need help, a lot of help. Last January, my sister had a mini stroke, TIA, and she genuinely started to think about her life, as I understood from my brother, who is the only one of us that checks up on her, and last week, she tried to reach to my nephew but he directly said he did not care she was alive or not. When she tried to talk to me about that I briefly said, what were you expecting sis, and closed the call. Now all of the family calls me an AH and they think I should have supported her. Update. A little update, my brother had a talk with her. He laid down all the stuff I told here and made her read this post. To our surprise, she knew about Reddit. When she asked about what to do about it, he said she should be working on herself and maybe be in peace with the fact she will die alone in a care home. He said she was looking really defeated but she got why she was abandoned by the family. She will leave the town for transferring her office to another state because she said to me it was too much pain for her. Again, egocentric perspective, but she will leave, at least. She is leaving next Monday. My nephew said she wants to look at her eyes one last time before leaving, so he will meet her at Saturday afternoon at my brother's house. Update 2. Good morning from the grey city of Cologne. I have an update, and after 24 hours to answer people's questions, I will log out from this account because I think it is over. Also, Reddit is really overstimulating for a guy who is in their second half of their 40s. First of all, my family does not blame me for her situation, they think I was an asshole for not listening to her. They apologized after seeing the post though. All is well, we communicated. I also apologized for being too rough on them. My sister is another story. Last night, we went to the house of my brother and SIL. She was there, sitting with no expression, just a dull face. When my nephew greeted her she just said, hello, son, with a really neutral voice, scary even. She looked at him after 5 minutes of silence and said, I failed you to raise, I gave you so much pain and I almost caused your life. For that, I am sorry. I am sorry for not realizing it sooner. At Monday, I will be leaving your lives and I will not ever come back. Just want you to know that I did what I thought was best. I understand now it wasn't. My nephew looked at him and said, I unfortunately know. I know and see you still believe that we have to move on. I will move on, mother, but without you. I will move with the people who loved me, not with someone who sees me as a training dog. Farewell, mother, and he gestured with his head that he wants to go. I looked at my sister and said, bye sis, I hope you find peace with your new life. She silently nodded and we left. My brother and SIL told me that she will legally separate her ties with us in every way possible. They are helping her to do that, and SIL said, we need this and she needs this. Us being separate will be much better for all of us. Not a big ending, but it is an ending to this. My parents and her had a talk at Friday and they realized the wounds are too big and painful to heal together. Not an happy ending, but at least it ended. Thanks for all for reading. I also took note of your recommendations and I will be applying them. Last note, dear all, I took your concerns and had a phone call with her. I talked with her and she does not have an ounce of it. She said she does not want to come that close to death ever again. She is currently preparing for her new life and she is just like herself, stoic, ready for new horizons and leaving her old life behind. I am also a doctor and I had my fair share of suicidal patients. She is fine, but also thanks for your concerns about her. Honestly, I don't care anymore what is happening to her. My parents care about her death, and this is enough for me. Goodbye. Update 3. Multiple people PM'd me and my mail was spammed with mails from Reddit, so I am going to give this update and disconnect my mail address from this account. To the people who were concerned, I sent the update and she laughed. Yes, she laughed that people were thinking she was going to kill herself. She said, I am getting better even though I know I failed my son. He will be fine, I will be fine and we will all move on. At this point I had a rage on her. I unleashed everything and told her how she could swift so fast from begging acceptance to indifference, and what she said really made me think she is a sociopath. You all catched me in my weakest moment, but after leaving you behind, I realized my biggest mistake was thinking I needed acceptance from you people. I then asked didn't she feel bad when the judge burnt him at the court. She said, at that time I was only relieved from being free of you, and when you question your mortality, you search for companionship instinctively. I don't know how to translate here from German, but I tried, but I know better now. Don't expect a call from me or don't wait a funeral announcement. Goodbye, and she closed the phone. I don't know what to tell then. I hope she dies alone in a caring home without no one to hurt anymore, but with this hatred against us, I hope she will die soon. Good night everyone.
Relevant comment. Madam Mim, German lady here. 48 aka same age as OP and his siblings. To be honest, I was not surprised either, reading that this is a story happening in Germany. Our parents' generation is sadly a terrible one, and it's only partly their fault. They were born either in WW2 or shortly after. To war-traumatized parents that were part of one of the biggest crimes in human history and came from a nation of perpetrators of the Holocaust. Our parents' generation was raised in silence, suppressed emotions, need to function and total lack of empathy. There is a huge emotional atrophy in our parents' generation that has bleed into our generation. They grew up in the need to function and achieve to be worth anything, building from the ruins, guilt, and horrors of a war caused by their parents. My generation is full of emotionally stunt people that don't know how to build connection with their children beyond function and making them to achieve something. Some did the emotional work or had therapy to heal, most have not or are just starting to now in their 40s or 50s. And our children have suffered for it. I see it in my own family and in myself. I was the kid in the late 80s/90s suffering from depression and addiction. And I still work on myself in therapy. Never got kids, BC. I was aware of my trauma and me not being able to provide emotionally for myself, and definitely not any children. Through all of this I finished university and functioned my ass off and am career-wise the most successful of my siblings. They all got married and had children. These children are the third generation after the WW2 generation, and guess what? Mental health is bad. I have an 18-year niece with major depression, anxiety, and emotionally not her age. My brother and his wife did not do the emotional work they should have done to deal with their trauma inflicted by our parents. The difference is that my nieces and nephews have A, me and B, my sister has done the work, her kids are better off. My point is, OP's sister is not an exception. She might be an extreme, but there are thousands of stories like this or similar in Germany, and it's not talked about enough, and mental health resources are not enough. I believe this goes back to even before the WW2 generation. This is the trauma war brings to humans. For generations. And the human race has not learned anything and did not have time to heal. BC, it not just affects Germans. We are walking right back into it.
OP. The interesting thing is, my parents are both pharmacists and pursued professional and personal development in the 1960s before having children. They were born in 1949 and had my sister in 1974. My mother was actively working as a researcher in the pharmaceutical industry at the time, in the field of psychiatric medications. This makes the whole thing all the more incomprehensible to me.